So, my sister's turning into one of the biggest bridezillas ever, and to be honest, I can't stop laughing in her face. Let me break down how our toxic relationship got to this point. So, a little background. I am the second youngest of 5 kids. My older siblings are 2 brothers and 1 older sister, who we'll call X for the purpose of this post. X and I have a 5-year age gap. As a result, we never really had that sisterly bond you would expect most sisters to have. Growing up, I always was a burden to her, and anytime it was my turn to pick the family movie, or really anything, she would get upset. The reason being that she had control issues, and as early as 9. So I'm guessing you can already see where I'm going with this. I'm currently 18, about to turn 19. Woohoo! And X turned 24 earlier this year. Her boyfriend, we'll call him Y, proposed to her at a family beach day earlier in June of this year. It was one of those quiet, big white letters and rose petals proposals, which he set up before my family arrived. She was thrilled, said yes, and my parents were very happy along with my older siblings. The youngest is 4, so I don't think she understood what was happening. Now, here's the drama. Since the proposal, she has gone into full Bridezilla mode. At the behest of my mom, X made me a bridesmaid. So, I'm roped into all this BS, so far these are the demands my dear sister has made. All bridesmaids are to pay for their own dress. A $300 dress in blush pink, shoes, hair, and makeup. All bridesmaids need to attend all wedding and bachelorette events, including the bachelorette spa day, $800 each, the bachelorette vacation weekend to Toronto and stay at the Fairmount Hotel, $1,000 weekend just for the hotel, the dress appointments, even if it's just for the bride, all alterations covered by the person themselves, $300 dress plus approximately $300 in alterations. All things to do with the wedding. Cake, venue, catering, etc. they need to attend. The cake and food tasting, and they all pay $25. The guest and the bridal/groom party need to pay $150 to reserve their spots. And gifts have to be either cash, check, or from the list of registry items. She has a spreadsheet of what everyone's gifting, and has said she will return items that aren't from the registry or match her theme. My mom says it's bride's anxiety. I say it's just my sister trying to control everything because she wants a December wedding on a ski hill. Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I figure if people are interested, I could update periodically on what happens. Thanks for listening. What's up guys, Mr. Reddito here. This is a 2-part update, and let me just tell you, if you thought the first part was crazy, it does not let off the gas pedal. If you're new to the channel, just know, the best way you can support me is hands down by pressing the like button and subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's jump into update part 1. Firstly, I just want to apologize for how long this has taken. My parents originally planned to talk that night, but now I'm updating 1 week later. My mom said she wasn't feeling good and decided to go to sleep early, around 6 p.m. And that feeling stayed for a while. When they got busy moving my sister into her fiance's place, and by that time everything settled, my parents forgot we had something to discuss, and kinda brushed it off to the side. We finally had the conversation 2 days ago, and I needed a day to think and just react to the things. So, turns out my dad never knew the whole story. He knew he was responsible for paying for my sister's dress and a portion of the wedding or honeymoon. The reason for this is that my parents told me. Dad confirmed with bank records that my parents have been setting up $25,000 accounts for myself and each of my siblings. The rule was that these accounts could be used for anything once we turned 19, and went off to post-secondary. It was our money to use. I just turned 19 and my dad was getting ready to sign the money over to me when we had this conversation, which caused a bit of a blow-up. But right now I need to give some background info I was given. Right after sister got engaged, she apparently had a conversation with my mom about how she always felt like the child left out. She used this line before, so I do believe my mom fell for it and was guilt-tripped. As a result of a very long conversation, my mom figured that she could divert some of the funds from all the kids' accounts to pay for her sister's wedding. For those wondering, my 2 older brothers are in the military. They aren't married yet and live on base. They never use their $25,000 because the Army in Canada pays for your education, housing, etc. So my mom had $50,000 at her disposal. Then, combined with my sister's and my $25,000, it would have been $100,000. My mom figured that because I had $17,000 saved up, she could just give my $25,000 later for a car or house payment or wedding, blah blah. Sister did this because, again, she's a master manipulator. Side note, thank you for the wonderful people who sent me various stuff for narcissism and support, along with those who sent articles on it to me. And possible narcissist. She used some of my mom's mental and physical health conditions against her. When I was born, Mom went through very bad PPD, resulting in her leaving to a treatment facility for 4 months, leaving my sister, 2 brothers, me, and Dad behind. My 2 older brothers at the time were 9 and 7, and me only a few months. Sister, for references, was 5 or just shy of 5, I honestly don't care to calculate. Since my brothers were trouble, my dad had his hands full, and a live-in nanny did the stuff for me. So my sister had little to no attention at an age where attention is important. I think that triggered the bad side of her to come out and play. While the nanny did help sister with basics, food, water, bath, clothes, and a little playtime, she wasn't a replacement for Mom. When Mom came back, sister had a huge grudge, but not to Mom, to me. I was the reason Mom left, which led her to trying to smother me with a pillow one night. Mom caught her in time, and it was a quote, funny story for us as a family. Turns out that's a coping mechanism. Over my childhood, sister has used manipulation to get what she wants, and she did it for the wedding too. Mom felt bad and decided to give her little Dove everything she desired. Common things I heard growing up were, quote, "You always give me XYZ. I want this and that." I proceed to have a meltdown. As sister grew up, it wasn't little toys and candy anymore, but girls' trips. As a result of this, Dad and I grew very close. He was my best friend. My sister and I had a decent relationship when I was 12 to 14, but it changed again when Mom got pregnant with the youngest sister. It was an accident, and I became the target again for sister's rage and abuse. Well, I know it doesn't excuse a lot of things, and I figured it would be important to give y'all the whole story. So, now with the back info done, update part 2, here's what happened. A day after sister moved out, I asked my mom and dad to please finally have the convo with me. Mom was feeling better, so we sat down and were talking. I told them how I felt, how much of a financial toll it would be on me, how it wasn't fair, etc. Well, Dad blew up. He did not know about the $100K or the thing sister was doing. He did not like the fact that Mom used a lot of, quote, "your father and I agree" talk, even though they had not. I showed group chat screenshots, and we worked through the wedding issue. I don't have to attend, and the $25,000 for me issue, Dad is signing it over to me early. Then, I was asked to go to my room for a bit because Dad and Mom wanted to talk. They settled the budget issue on their own. Dad then asked why I did not feel comfortable to talk to them earlier, so I showed them this post. My dad snapped. He immediately called my sister and told her to come here ASAP because he needed to talk to her and would not accept any excuses. She said she would be here in 4 hours because she was with fiancé and his parents. Dad pressed and she hung up and blocked him. Dad told me to go to my room once again, but to leave my phone so they could go over the post and see the comments. I don't know exactly what happened, but Mom came to talk to me later. She then told me about the PPD, etc., which I did not know about earlier. We solved our issues and I finished by asking if sister would go to therapy, because mom's convinced that the 4-month leave caused this stuff in her. Mom said she'd try but can't force it. I told her if sister doesn't go, I'm going no contact with her and possibly low contact with mom. Dad then joined the conversation and assured me I would get my money, and I would not have to go to the wedding if I did not want to. Since sister is charging $150 per guest, she can pay for her grandiose wedding through that. Soon-to-be brother-in-law and his family aren't paying for crap apparently, so now they have to, or sister doesn't get to have her little ski hill wedding. Oh yeah, speaking of the $150 fee, y'all were right. It was my sister who concocted the whole thing and told mom it was an Italian thing. We talked to sister's mother-in-law when she dropped sister off. Sister doesn't drive. And mother-in-law was shocked that sister has done this. There's apparently a money dance but no $150 fee. So on to what happened when sister came back. She came after 5 hours and while mother-in-law was there, she was sweet as a pie. But when mother-in-law left, oh lord, the gates to hell broke loose. She demanded why Dad disturbed the peaceful evening and demanded her driver back now. Dad said he did not care and to sit down. She refused and they fought. Finally, she sat down after Dad started pulling out various tricks, including money or telling mother-in-law about sister's true nature, which I guess fiancé hasn't seen much of. I was excused to my room once more. There was a lot of angry yelling back and forth and a lot of manipulation from sister, including threats of low contact / no contact, or no seeing possible grandchildren in the future. She was trying to get mom to go back to the original plan, $100,000 plan, and mom and dad weren't budging. The fight continued and stopped when my dad yelled saying mom isn't her punching bag and her PPD was not her fault and she was not that angry about it. Go to therapy. After that, I was called back down and we went over all the issues, starting with the keto book. Sister tried to defend saying I was fat and lazy, but dad defended me. Sister started to cry and mom told dad to be a little softer, which he did. We finally discussed everything and I felt like part of the family instead of like a punching bag. I felt part of it. Sister eventually got an Uber and left because she was, quote, being attacked. We're going to wait until Christmas time when brothers are back in town so we can all discuss what we need as a family to go forward and to be healthy. But it'll most likely be therapy or cutting sister out. Mom and dad are still figuring out the full budget issue with my sister's in-laws. My parents told them for such a wedding to happen, everyone would need to contribute. In-laws agreed that $100,000 for a wedding is insane. Last I heard, sister will get her $15K for the wedding, which is basically $5,000 because $10K dress. Since it's already ordered, the other $10K is being held for something tangible. And then, her in-laws are being generous and helping with $15,000. 10 to wedding, 5 to honeymoon. As for my schooling, Dad and I are going to the bank tomorrow and we're going to pay the cancellation fee for the loan I had to take out. The loan only officially starts when I start school, so thankfully the cancellation fee is very small. My dad's paying for the fee because he admits that I should have never had to take the loan out. My parents agreed that my first year of university, along with housing cost, will not come out of the budget, the $17,000 or the $25,000, so they will pay for it. The full amount that they budget for me is going to be transferred into something called a TFSA for later in life. While mom and I still have somewhat of a rocky relationship, sister absolutely hates me. She blamed me for everything and said that I've caused irreparable damage to her relationship with her fiancé and in-laws. Because of this, she's banned me from the wedding and from her life. I honestly don't care. I don't really see it as losing a sister. I see it as losing a bully. I made a promise to my mom and dad that I would never treat my younger sister like that. I'm going to be the role model she deserves, and I'm going to be her protector like my brothers and father were for me. I think I covered everything that needs to be covered, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'm very thankful for the people for teaching me what a real family is about, and for teaching me about boundaries and communication. Have an amazing life, you gorgeous humans. So the majority of people were saying it's incredible to even imagine how someone could want a $100,000 wedding when they aren't even rich. They're using other people's money to cover this. But let me break down the number one comment that got so much attention. This is just oof. It started out almost standard issue Bridezilla and just kept getting wilder and wilder from there. Incredible that at a $100,000 wedding is even possible. Honestly, let alone a $100,000 wedding where guests are charged $150 just to attend? And everything's organized by bridesmaids with no input. But they have to get it right? Yikes. That's before all the updates of her awfulness. I really hope any of this gets back to the fiancé enough to realize he needs to run. Alright guys, so that opinion was pretty popular and a lot of people were feeling that way. Let me know how you feel about that, and we're going to turn our attention to the last story of the day. This story is a bunch of posts broken down from the same OP, and the original title is this. OP's entitled mother thinks she's entitled to one of OP's properties, despite having 19 years of no contact. Guys, the majority of people who tune into this channel aren't even subscribed. Just know it's the best way to support me, so if you do enjoy these videos, please click the subscribe button and let's get into the next story. What's up guys, Mr. Reddito here. I have a string of posts for the next story. The title is, OP's entitled mother thinks she's entitled to one of OP's properties, despite having 19 years of no contact. So let's go ahead and get it kicked off with this first post, titled, What's the Law About Hiring a PI? My egg donor, my mother, hired a PI to find me after 19 years of no contact. Can she just hire someone to invade my privacy like that? Post 2. My mother contacts me after 19 years. My so-called mother hired a PI to find me after 19 years of no contact. After what she and my sperm donor that she calls husband did to me at 16. She thinks she has a right to even look at me, let alone talk to me. I know where you live. If I wanted to contact, I would have tried. But not once in the 19 years of no contact have I ever tried, so duck off. I don't care if you're dying and need a body part, or that you're broke and need money, you can rot. Post number 3. My mom hired a PI to find me and is now popping up everywhere I go. Of course, quote, she wants to talk. I went to the police and they said there isn't anything they can do because she's always at a public place. Cafe, parks, and stuff. And she hasn't approached me directly since she sent me an email that I've left unread. How can I get her to leave me alone? Post number 4. My mother thinks she's entitled to one of my properties. I haven't seen since I was 16, and we were in court. So 19 years I haven't had any contact with the quote, mother. She hired a PI to find me and I still refuse to talk to her. I even have my lawyer send her a formal letter of no contact, and threatened her with a restraining order. She sent this email to me through my work email. I shortened it, but basically it said, quote, to my name, this is her name, your mother. I thought you would have matured by now and came to apologize to me and your father for what you put us through. Because of you, your father lost his teaching career, and we had to sell our house. However, it's come to my knowledge that you own some properties in my area, so it's only right if you give us one of them as an apology. One of my most expensive properties would be a good fit for us. As soon as you hand over the keys to the property, we can finally be able to start to heal and get past this misunderstanding that you blew out of proportion. I hope you come to the right decision. I just can't stop laughing at this. Like, no, I'm not giving you anything. This is just another bit of evidence to help me get a restraining order against her. Next post. Small update, my mother thinks she's entitled to my property. Well, I'd first like to give you all hugs, well wishes, and rewards. I truly did not believe so many of you would see my post, let alone leave comments. Not going to lie, you all gave me a bit of an ego boost. Secondly, I'm in a really good place in my life. What happened to me was over 20 years ago, though I'll probably never truly be over it, and I'm happy. Now, on to the update. Guess who's on and just happens to see my post? I got another email from her demanding an apology for making her look bad on social media. She now has given us a deadline to hand over the keys to the house. I forgot to tell you all the most expensive property I own is my family's home. The one my husband and stepkids live in. But she's willing to compromise and take the apartment that I bought from my auntie. Oh, am I supposed to let my younger sister, who I've never met, use my 2-bedroom apartment for free? I mean, after reading my post and seeing over 600 comments about how crazy and entitled she is, and she still thinks she's in the right, emailing me on my work email and leaving fake reviews online, yeah, she's left too, with her actual name, has given me another evidence of the restraining order. So I guess I should thank her for also making it easy on me. So that's all, I guess. Next update. My father put me in the hospital for being gay. 21 years ago when I was 14, my brother outed me at my parents. When I got home before I could even go through the door, my father started beating me and I can't remember much of it. I just remember walking up with a tube down my throat and auntie and uncle sitting beside me. I was doing so well with my PTSD until my mother tried to contact me. I've gotten an emergency session with my therapist on Tuesday, but I need to get this off my chest. My father was never a violent man, and before I'd say he was my hero, but I always thought my mother loved me, but she only came to visit me to demand I tell the police that I don't know who hurt me. Thank God my auntie was there and gave me the courage to tell the police what I knew. Ugh. Why can a few emails bring up so much anger and resentment? And I got some information about my father that is making me feel guilty, and this just effed up. Next post. My father isn't as bad as I thought, and I don't know how to deal. Okay, I wrote a post about my mother emailing me and demanding a property for her and her husband. I just assumed her husband was my father. Boy, I was wrong. After the email, I thought that it was a bit weird for her to contact me out of all her children. Older sister and brother are no to low contact with them, but I'd understand if they want to have contact as long as they respect my no contact with them. So I called my brother and sister. Both my brother and sister had no clue my mother was harassing me. My sister said that I come over for a cup of tea and she can explain something that was yesterday. Sister and brother respect my no contact and don't even talk about them when I'm around, because I asked they let me know everything. After my father put me in the hospital he started spiral drinking and doing drugs. My mother divorced him when my sister had the first grandchild. He realized that if he had any hopes of being a part of his grandkid's life, he needed to change. So he went to AA, NA, and got into therapy. My mother did not divorce him because he wasn't drinking. No. She divorced him for getting better, because he told everyone she was married to a drunk. Turns out that my father was molested by a family friend, and when my brother outed me, somehow triggered him. But with therapy and time, he's doing better. He wants to talk to me and make amends for what he did. I don't know if I can. I understand PTSD. I have PTSD, but here's the reason I have it. My mother was married 2 months after their divorce and started her new family because her older kids are such a disappointment. Her words exactly. She thought that after the divorce, she would get the house, but she did not, as it was brought by my Nana and Papa. So, it's in their name. And she made more than my father. She did not get alimony, and because none of the children lived with her, she didn't get child support. I have 2 younger siblings, a brother 17 and a sister 16. That I just learned about. Still don't know why she thought I was her best chance. I'm starting to think my mother's a narcissist. Sorry if I rambled, but this is a lot of me. I'm going to see if I can get an emergency session with my therapist. Final update. My mother thinks she's entitled to one of my properties. Well, she was arrested. I have 3 properties. 1, the first property I ever bought and now rent out. 2, the big house near water, aka my forever home. 3, the apartment I bought from my auntie or mom after my uncle/dad died. Properties 2 and 3 were not my biggest worries because my mother would be not only annoying family, but 1 is rented out to a lovely couple, and they don't deserve to be dragged into it. So, can you guess which one she showed up to? She showed up and tried to evict my great tenants with a fake eviction notice. She told the girls that she was my mother, and that I gave her authority to evict. However, I've already given the girls a warning about my mother, and if she tried, and the thing is, just call the police. And then me. Well, they did exactly that. When I get there, my mother was trying to convince the police that I gave authority to evict them, and I was lying to them to get her in trouble because of an argument we had. But for someone who allegedly hired a PI to find me, she put down the wrong name on those forms. She didn't know that I took my husband's last name. So she was arrested and I have a temporary restraining order on her, and she's not to come near me or my properties. As for my father, I told my sister that if she got my father's therapist's number, I'd give it to my therapist so they can discuss further about possibly, maybe, having a conversation with him, but only when my therapist and I believe I'm ready. I thought my father would fight me and demand that I see him, but he didn't. He agreed and everything and told my sister that he'd understand if I never feel ready to see him. On a lighter note, my coping methods for stress, it's building and or fixing things, so I converted an old garage into a Dungeons and Dragons gaming room for my husband's birthday. And I got me a happy ending, if you know what I mean. I think for me, the final straw from this story was when the entitled mother shows up at one of the properties and tries to get the tenants kicked out. That was crazy and it got her arrested. Let's turn our attention to the first comment. This is a weirdly positive story as far as outcomes with estranged parents go. I'm so glad the dad is getting the help he needed and is finally respecting boundaries in a healthy fashion. Getting on RO against someone directly related to you is difficult, so it's also a good outcome with the relationship with the mom, who sounds unfixable. Comment 2 says, I think it's hilarious she read about herself and entitled parents and felt hurt. If OP's mom is reading this, your younger kids are planning to go no contact soon. You just don't know it yet. Alright guys, so this story was a lot to take in. I would love to hear your opinion on this one. Please drop it down below and we'll discuss it in the comments like usual. That's all the stories for today. Please have an amazing day and try something different that you've always wanted to try. Just go for it. Have a wonderful night and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.